And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 40. It was supposed to be a 3 QCast day. There's already been 2 in the books, and this is 3. We've just added a 4th. So stay tuned. There's a lot going on here today, but I'm really excited to kind of get back home here and to talk some Titans. Laura Mahlum, you are player number 8 from the Illinois Wesleyan women's basketball team to join the QCast. I've been very fortunate that you've all said yes. Was it a tough decision, Laura, to come on a podcast and kind of share your story, or was this an easy yes? Tell me about the decision to join the QCast here.
It's an easy yes, of course. Anyone that wants to talk, I mean, I love talking basketball, so of course, easy
Well,
yes.
I know you guys are all busy. You've got like real stuff like school, and then you've got athletics going on. So thank you so much. Titans are 16 and 0, 7 and 0. Let's start there for a second. That's not a bad record, Laura. How are we feeling about 16 and 0, 7 and 0?
I mean, honestly, I don't think about it that often. It's not until after a game when they like announce it, I'm like, oh yeah. It's not something that's like consistently in our heads, I think, and I think that's why we stay so humble and we're able to come in every day, work hard, and look at every game like it's very important. So.
You guys are very humble. That's one of the takeaways I have from talking to all of you, both in the group Brady Bunch episode and now individually. I'm very impressed that you're all so grounded and also humble about what's happening here. It seems like the personalities on the team sort of lend it doesn't seem like, Laura, there's a lot of like egos in this group of Titans. Maybe that's why you're such a likable group. Am I picking up on something accurate there?
No, I think you're spot on. I don't think anyone's like super out there. I think everyone's like toned into the plan at all times and willing to give up anything to do anything. So,
We mentioned 7 and 0 in the league. That's after a big win over Carthage at home Wednesday.
mhm,
I was watching, I had the score on a separate device over here. I was watching the men grinding out this Millikin game. That was close for
mhm.
a long time. I was worried about that. Our score at the Shirk was looking really good. So I was like, okay, they got this. So I can't provide any hot takes on that Carthage game other than big win. You led the whole way. You led by a lot the whole way. Since I missed that game, Laura, why don't you tell the QCast watchers what the Carthage game was like?
I think it was just like right off the bat, we came in and we were like, we need to make a statement game. North Central was a lot closer than we had anticipated, and we were like, okay, like we got this one. We came in, we had a goal. We wanted to keep them under their average, which we did, and we did everything we could. So we worked hard in practice to make sure we knew their scout and were able to accomplish what we wanted to do, which was beat them by a lot.
Now, after the North Central game, when Katie was on here, I gave her a little advance warning that Coach Smith was on like the post game show on the stream, the
Mhm.
broadcast. She was not happy with you guys. She said you guys didn't listen. And I told Katie that it might be a really rough practice coming up. Was it a rough practice, or were things kind of smoothed out by the time you got to that next practice?
Things are smoothed out for sure. She's not super hard on us. I mean, she does give us like good like motive and is like, you guys are better than this. Like, I know you're better than this, but it never came from a bad place. It was like, I know you guys are better than this. It was a different kind of game than we anticipated, but she was very happy with our win overall.
That's good. I'm glad things are cool. And you guys have what, Millikin, right? Wednesdays, Millikin at
Yes,
home. Is that
Millikin
correct?
at
Let's talk.
Millikin.
Oh, at Millikin. Yeah, that's right. The
Hmm.
guys are at home against Augie. You go to Decatur. So first of all, I'm just glad that Elyce Knudsen is playing for the Redbirds, and I want to give her a huge shout out. I want to ask you about this because she was a great D3 player, like one of the best in the country, maybe the best in the country. And now she's a D1 player. And do you know who the leading scorer for the Redbirds was yesterday? It was Elyce Knudsen. I think she had 24. She had a bunch
Hmm.
of rebounds, a bunch of assists. Does that, like, when you guys look at that, Laura, someone that you just played against, now she's playing for the Redbirds and playing great, and you played against her earlier in October,
Hmm.
that kind of makes a statement about the caliber of Hooper in Division Three. Is that, I mean, just talk about that a little bit because I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, I think the Hoopers in D3 are just like something that a lot of people don't understand because we're here because we want to be. We're not like on a scholarship, we're not getting paid. We don't get as much like looks even just from like the outside world. So we're all here because we want to be. And I think that really shows that when you go to D3 that or D1, I'm sorry, they put in all these hours just like everybody else and they're doing it because they want to. And so that really shows when you go to D1 because it's like they are so passionate, like they want to do what they're doing and they're able to thrive at the D1 level, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, a really cool story for Elyce Knudsen. It's great to see. And like where I started this is, boy, she was a lot to handle for her 4 years at Millikin, a great player. They have a little different roster construction this year, a different head coach this year. Talk a little bit about like what we know about the matchup with the Big Blue coming up Wednesday.
Yeah, so we recognize a couple of their players. We've played a few of them before. They have this post player that is actually coming off the bench, but is one of their top scorers. So that'll be interesting for us. We're a little small when it comes to them. They're not too much bigger than us. I don't know if they are bigger than us when it comes height wise. Um, but I mean, we're excited. I mean, we've always wanted to beat Millikin. We wanted to beat him when Elyce Knudsen was there, but get what we get. So it should be good. We're excited.
Yeah, it's obviously a big game because the standings right now, we're 7-0, Carroll's 6-1. So there's just one little game of separation. We know that Carroll still has to come to the Shirk Center. And so all of these games are big. What's that been like trying to just, you guys are highly rated, you're undefeated, all this great stuff. What's it been like to try to just one game at a time it? Because it seems like that's what you guys have done. You've approached it so well and just focusing on one at a time. How have you done that?
I think it comes down to our coaching staff as well. They're never talking to us about the next game. Like, I honestly couldn't even tell you who we play after Milliken because I don't even look at it until we play the Milliken. So I mean, I'm sure they know who we play. I'm sure a lot of people know who we play, but I like personally don't even pay attention because Milliken's next. My next 2 days, today and tomorrow, all Milliken. What can we do to beat Milliken? And I think that most of the team does do that. They like take each game one at a time and focus on it. And that's, I feel like, why we've been so successful.
It really does feel like that. Like it feels like you guys are always locked in on the task at hand and that you never get out in front of yourselves. It's just a really impressive and mature group of Titans. Um, Talk a little more about the staff. I wanted to ask about Brian Ehresman. I think assistant coaches in Division 3 often get overlooked quite a bit for the role that they play. In a lot of situations, the lead assistant is doing so much of the work behind the scenes that people aren't seeing. Talk a little bit about Coach Ehresman, if you would.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he's a big part of why we are so successful. Every scout, we have video clips on players doing what they like to do. He like highlights their big moves. We have their offenses, their defenses all clipped out. So for like, okay, we want to focus on their offense. He's got 20 so clips of all the different things they do on offense. And then he has defense, their different defenses. He takes a lot of time and watches film. So, and then on top of that, if you're ever in Shirk and you're like, hey, I want to shoot. Are you around? Can you rebound? He's always there. He's like, yes, please. I'm supposed to be doing this, but I will come rebound for you. So, love him to death. We would not be where we are without him.
And then Coach Smith, you talked a little bit about Maya, but just talk a little bit more about like what it's like to play for her, her coaching style. Just talk about Coach Smith a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, once again, she's a big reason why I came to Wesleyan. I loved just the connection that I had with her originally. She's a very open door policy. Like anytime you're around, you want to stop in and say, "Hey, how's your day?" She loves that. She encourages that very much. And her coaching style is very keep going, you can do better, you can do better. I know you can. Dig deeper. Like it's very encouraging, but it definitely pushes us to be the best that we could be.
Wanted to ask you, Laura, a little bit about just how you chose Illinois Wesleyan. So you played for Barrington High School. in the
Mhm.
Chicago suburbs. Um, I'm curious who was recruiting you, and how did you make that decision to pick Illinois Wesleyan?
Yeah. My top three were Whitewater, Carroll, and Wesleyan. And I really just like couldn't even give you like a breakdown of why Wesleyan just felt better, but it did. As soon as I like the coaches were amazing. I talked to them long, like we extended our visit that I longer than I was supposed to be here. Like our talks were just longer, I guess. Um, and the campus facilities are amazing. I mean, who wouldn't want to play in the Shirk Center? It's beautiful and it just felt right. I like there's no way to say it, but it was just as soon as I came here for my second visit, I came twice and I was like, wow, this feels amazing. I definitely like this better than the other two places for sure.
Now, am I remembering my story right when Sara was on here? Was it you and Sara that knew each other and kind of committed
Yes.
together like at a Starbucks or something? Am I remembering this correct?
Yeah, so I played volleyball in high school as well, and coach made an effort to come watch my volleyball game, even though I played volleyball. I played volleyball for the 3 months of volleyball season, so I wasn't like amazing. But she was like, if you're into it, I'm into it, I'm coming. And that also just kind of shows the people that they are. And so Sara snuck into the game and then we met at Starbucks after, and then we committed together.
That's
So,
very cool. Yeah, I remember her telling that story here on the
yeah.
QCast, and that's a great story. So you guys play some AAU together, or how did you and Sara know each other?
Yeah, we met, just our mom signed us up for the same tryouts, I guess, like AAU, our freshman year, and then we transferred two separate times because our teams just like, AAU, it gets like mixed up. And we just happened to be on the same team every single time. And we switched programs. And then I was like, oh, kind of like her.
That's
So
great. And you guys are
we've
both
been together
juniors.
ever since.
Yeah, you're part of a great junior class. I think the thing that people don't realize or don't think about is how much talent we do return. I talked about that with Sara. Uh, Current juniors are yourself and Sawyer White and Sarah
Mhm.
Bali and Ava Bardic and Peyton Jacob and Martha Lippick. I mean, it obviously we lose some studs this year, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to feel good, Laura, about like, holy cow, you return a lot for your senior year. Talk a little bit about that junior group.
I mean, I think our junior group we love our seniors to death, but our junior group is definitely like, we're aware of what we carry as well. And everyone's like, "Oh, you worried like you're losing like four of your like big girls, whatever, like they score a lot. They're huge people." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am I gonna miss them a lot? Yes." But I do have confidence in our junior class that we will be able to withhold quite a bit next year as well.
Yeah, and there's talent under that. Like Sophie Feeney comes to mind, starting to sneak into some games. Luigi Lamb can shoot the heck out of the ball. There's other people in there. Um, I noticed today the Titans got a really big commitment from Caitlin Layden from Maine South High School.
Mm.
There's been some other commits already, and so yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no reason to talk about next year when you're 16 and 0 and ranked number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
But the cupboard's not going to be anywhere close to bare when this
Mhm.
very loaded senior group leaves. Laura, in terms of how your role plays out, so let's see, you're a 6 foot junior. You're listed as a guard slash forward. Now, I have an opinion on this. Do you think you're a guard? Do you think you're a forward? There's like we got to pick one here. What are you?
It depends on the game, I think. If I have a smaller matchup, I'm gonna go down in the post. If I have a bigger matchup, I'm gonna take them out to the wing and make them guard me off the dribble. So I think it really just varies game by game.
Truly like a yeah, truly a combo there. I think this is one of those things where truly a combo. You can shoot the three really well, so you'll
Mhm.
come into games, and what I like is you come off the bench into the game. There's no hesitation. Like if they fire you the ball and you're open, you shoot without any hesitation, which I love. What is it like to come in off the bench cold like that, just right into a middle of a big ball game and have it kind of like get in there? What is that like?
Um, It was a different role, definitely coming into college. I mean, everyone in high school, like you usually started, and that was like you got to warm up with the game. Coming off the bench, honestly, wasn't as big of an adjustment as I thought it was going to be. I actually enjoy my role. I love my role very much. It definitely makes us like a better team that there are people willing to come in off the bench and just be ready to go. And I look at it as in the way of, okay, I'm watching, I'm seeing what you guys are doing. What can I see from the outside that we need to fix? And then I go in and I do my best to pick up what I think we need to pick up.
Like
So,
building on that a little bit, um, high school, like you said, I mean, anyone that's getting recruited to play at a great D3 is a high level high school player. So you're a starter and you're someone that gets a lot of attention and all that stuff. And now here you are as a junior being asked to come off the bench, which is a different kind of role than what you were used to in high school. What advice, Laura, do you have for similar kids that are being asked to come off the bench at the college level? Like having to adjust to being a reserve player versus being like the person, the starter, one of the stars. What advice would you give someone who now is in that role?
I think you just have to value your role and accept it. Once you get over like accepting the fact, you can thrive and you can score lots of points coming off the bench. Once you're in the game, it doesn't matter. Once the first tip goes, it's the same game whether you started it or not. And I think that that's very important because being coming off the bench, Sara and I both come off the bench. Sawyer sometimes does, Katie sometimes does. Sara and Sawyer sometimes have really high scoring games, and there are a lot of different things you can do just coming off the bench, and I don't think it really matters that much. Starting lineups, like matchups is important. And then from there, you just sub in and you get your minutes and do the best that you can. I don't think it really has like this huge, I'm a starter, I'm this. I think that you just play the role that you're given and do it to the best of your ability. And that is why we are so good.
It's very well said. I look at it similar on the guys' side as they have such a deep team. And like Marco Anderson to me, like he's basically a starter. He doesn't trot out in the starting lineups, but he seems like he's a starter to me.
Mhm.
Same with all of you that come off the bench, such interchangeable parts. And let's talk about that piece of it is kind of how much depth that you guys have. I've talked about this with everyone else, but it seems like Coach Smith is able to play matchups based on what game it is. Maybe if it's a game where the opponent has a little more size, maybe it's a Laura Katie game, or maybe if it's a game where we're needing to turn some people over, it turns into a Sawyer game. What is it like to play on a team with this much talent and this much depth?
It's honestly like a blessing in disguise because I trust my team so much, and I know that like if Sawyer goes in, like she's gonna get these steals. And I'm like, Coach, put Sawyer in. We need the steals. I know she can get them. Like I want her in the game. And it's just like amazing to have that trust through the entire team. It's like you know they're gonna get the job done. I have no like second thought. So it's honestly a blessing. I mean, I wouldn't want it any other way. Everyone's good at their own little thing, and together it's just like it's a great team. So
Is Sawyer like is she the same in practice as she is in a game, like just running around like crazy, like harassing people? Is that what she's doing in
yes,
practice as well? Because it
yes,
she you got to admit she does run around like crazy in these games. She's all over the place.
yeah, she is. I think that's a little soccer part of her that comes out, and she just likes to run.
Yeah, she'll like score a basket and then she'll get back and then she'll like deny an inbounds and steal a ball and pass it and like I get tired just watching that girl run around. It's unbelievable. Um,
Yeah.
Ava Bardic coming in, transferring in before last year. Was that a big deal? Like sometimes transfers mess stuff up. Sometimes transfers it doesn't work out personality wise. I've seen this. I've seen this happen. It obviously has not happened with Ava Bardic. So what was that like when you got word that like, hey, there's this transfer coming in from D2? How did that all mesh together and work so well?
I mean, I knew Ava from high school. I knew she was a good player. Coach told me he was like, "Hey, I think Ava Bardic might come," and I was like, "Oh, really? Like, when's her visit? Can I be there?" It was never a, oh, like I think we were also in our rebuilding year, my freshman year. We weren't great, but we were decent. And we were already working so hard, so it wasn't too hard to mend a new person in. And I mean, I'm so thankful that she came here. She's a great asset to our team. So
She's
there
really
was
good.
no hesitation there at all.
Yeah, I give you guys tons of credit for that because I remember I was at the Illinois State game, the first game of that year, exhibition game. And I remember how meshed together things looked in the opener. And I was like, I give everyone credit because sometimes transfers don't fit in that easily. And obviously you guys getting back to personalities made it work great. Um, just a couple more things. We're talking to Laura Mahlum, who's Mahlum, sorry, Laura Mahlum, 6 foot junior guard for the Titans. Do you pay attention here to the national stuff, Laura? You know, you guys are number one in the only like rating thing that matters, which is the NPI. That's the thing that they
Mhm.
use to seed the tournament and pick the teams. You're number one in that. You're number two in the D3hoops.com top 25 poll, which just is really a fun media thing. It doesn't matter. Are you guys paying attention to like the bigger picture around you or no?
Um, I think sometimes, I mean, I see the spreadsheet, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're number one. And then I think it doesn't really go that far from there because at the end of the day, like we can control it, but we can't. I mean, we can't control what other teams are doing. And I think we just stick to what we need to play Titan basketball and we need to be the best that we can be, and the rest will fall the way that it's supposed to fall. So,
I think, and I know the guy that runs the spreadsheet. This guy's Matt Snyder. He has a lot of spreadsheets. And I think what you're saying, Laura, is don't let me put words in your mouth, is that basketball is not really played on a spreadsheet. Can you confirm that?
absolutely not. Yeah.
I mean, all of those columns that this guy has created, there are so many columns. All the formulas, that is not really how the game is played out on these columns. Can you
Mhm.
confirm that once and for all?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what all of the columns even mean. So, yeah.
I'm with you. I appreciate his spreadsheets. I've interviewed his wife on the QCast, actually, Laura. Sometime you have to check that out. It was a very short interview. I asked her about the spreadsheets. She seemed somewhat annoyed by them, but that's another story for another time. Laura, I got to ask you just as we start to wrap up here. So the road in front of you,
Mhm.
16-0, 7-0. I've asked other people this. I got to ask you, what's your vision for the rest of the season? When you look out at how this plays out, what are the goals? What's your vision? What do you want to happen this season?
I mean, it's definitely national championship. No doubt about it. We talk about it all the time when we're getting down in our heads or like don't want to go to practice because it's like one of those days it's like no, like we're going for a national championship. Get up, let's go. Let's get moving. Let's get some shots up. Like it's just a constant reminder. And just having that goal in mind is I think what really helps us too in those like offer days.
And are you guys aware that there's a lot of people outside the circle here that feel like you guys can't compete with NYU? Are we aware of
Mhm.
that?
We are aware.
Just want to make sure you're aware of that. I've tried to do my best to make sure you're all aware that that sentiment exists very strongly in some circles. So look, we don't need to talk any more about that, but I hope we get a chance to just maybe get a chance to compete there, Laura.
For
Uh,
sure, for sure.
um, I'll just say this is like really appreciate Laura the role you play on the team and seamlessly the way you do it. Just coming into the game, you feel like a starter to me when you get in there. It doesn't seem like we're losing anything when you come in the game. You come in shooting, great defense. By the way, you provide much needed size. You and Katie are the tallest that play,
Mhm.
and we don't really feature a true five, but we have to guard fives often. I would go
Mhm.
back like the North Central game. I can't remember what her name was, but she was a lot taller than we were. And so
Yeah.
having to kind of help and things like that, like your role on the defensive end is key. And you've been a great part of this rotation. I'm so excited for all of you. And I guess I'll just say one thing and then ask what your final thoughts are. Same thing I told Katie, which is I hope you guys stop sometimes and look around and appreciate what you're doing, because even if you get to that national championship game or the final four, yeah, this will all end sooner than as a group you want it to, right? If
Yeah.
you play the last game of the year you guys are going to be like, wow, I can't believe this is all over. Now you've got another season left, but I hope you guys can appreciate the high level of basketball that you are playing because it's fun to watch. Laura, what would you leave us with here? Obviously, we've got the Titan Nation tuning in, D3 Hoops Nation, maybe the people that don't think you can beat NYU, maybe they're tuning in. What would you leave people with today, Laura, on the QCast?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Glad to,
And all the support that you've given Titan basketball, both men and women.
of course.
The biggest thing that I think I could leave people with is no days off. Come in every day with the eager mindset to get better. And I think it'll go a lot longer than you think it will.
I'm with you. I'm so excited about what's going on right now. And look, I think at some point, usually what happens, there'll be a game that we play where we don't play that great. Someone knocks us off. Fine. Big picture here is this team's good enough to do some really, really special things. And I've been saying that before there was a game played. So it's been fun to actually watch happen. Kudos to you and all your teammates, Laura. It's been great to talk to the 8 kind of primary members of the rotation here on the QCast. And look, as we start to get into bigger games, we might need to start rolling people back in here to talk about specific moments and games coming up. So kudos to you and your teammates, Laura. It's been great to watch you play, and best of luck to you the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.